Romanian police are expanding their investigation of the former kickboxer Andrew Tate.
A controversial influencer, Andrew Tate, has been accused of putting a gun in a woman's face.
Police in Romania are questioning Andrew Tate into alleged crimes, including sex with a minor and money laundering.
Andrew Tate, a name that once set social media ablaze, built on lies and sophisticated schemes. He claimed to be a four-time kickboxing champion, but the professional community does not recognize this. Hustlers University was promoted as a secret to wealth, but in reality, it was just a multi-level marketing scheme, exploiting money from his own fans. All that glamour piled up to create an arrogant alpha male persona, but it ultimately led to a cold conclusion. Arrested in Romania facing charges of human trafficking, abuse, and money laundering with the possibility of years in prison. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that Andrew Tate was once a global phenomenon. In 2022 alone, he garnered over 12 billion views on TikTok and had more than 200,000 students willing to pay to hear him lecture on secrets to success.
I think Andrew Tate is a unique evil in the world, and he's influencing a generation of younger men. That is a unique evil, I think.
Is Andrew Tate truly a victim of a shadowy force he calls the Matrix, or is this just a performance exposing the truth behind the glamorous facade? Where does the truth lie? That's the question we'll trace together as this video will decode the titles Tate once boasted about to the cracks gradually appearing behind the mask. Before becoming the name that set social media ablaze, we should rewind to the time when the spotlight still shone brightly on him. Andrew Tate was once a professional kickboxer. He claimed to have won 4 world championships in different organizations. Belts he often flaunted as proof of his superior strength. In the ring, his tenacious fighting style and ability to knock out opponents helped him craft an image of an invincible warrior in the eyes of his followers. But Tate didn't stop at martial arts. He transformed the glory of being a fighter into a springboard to build a larger persona, an icon of modern masculinity. Stepping out of the cage, Tate donned expensive suits, drove multi-million-dollar supercars, lived in lavish mansions, and wore dazzling diamond watches. These images quickly spread across the internet. And then he began to speak, not about martial arts, but about how to be a real man. His message was simple yet incredibly compelling. Men are being weakened by society. I am the true alpha model. However, things don't stay heroic forever. The brighter you shine, the easier it is for the darkness within to be exposed. And for Tate, that darkness didn't come from any external enemy, but from the very words he once proudly proclaimed. Andrew Tate often painted his childhood as a cinematic starting point for his journey to becoming an alpha superhero. He spoke of his father, a chess grandmaster, and his own feat of winning the Indiana State Championship at age 5. A story that sounds like it stepped out of a novel.
I cannot stand when people act like they know how to fight, but they really don't. And then they go on and try and teach people or convince them they're experts in the sport. Absolutely drives me crazy. It's one of the reasons I started this channel. I looked at some of the other instructors out there on YouTube and I went, oh my gosh.
It helped him build credibility as the K1 champion label was convincing enough to create a trustworthy facade, making audiences believe they were following a world-class fighter. From this veneer, Tate easily attracted fans and made money. Fabricated accomplishments became a promotional tool for his online courses where the image of a martial arts champion was fully exploited to sell the illusion of success to hundreds of thousands of students. Above all, it was a way to feed his enormous ego. A perfect, invincible persona couldn't be shaken by mundane.
People who don't fight have this idea that you just keep your gloves up to protect yourself, but the problem is that doesn't work. If I punch 20%, right? If I'm actually going, like, your face will be a mess. So the idea that you just cover up doesn't work, because if I'm landing knuckle, I'll break all the bones in your hand.
As the truth gradually came to light, many fans found themselves in a state of confusion. To them, Tate was not just a fighter, but a symbol of strength and success. So, the revelation that his glittering titles weren't entirely truthful hit like a heavy blow, prompting many to question the entire philosophy they had once believed in. If one achievement could be exaggerated, could his other teachings truly be trusted? This skepticism quickly spread beyond his fan base, igniting a wave of debate on social media. Those who already disliked Tate seized the opportunity to publicly criticize him, widely sharing information as proof that the Alpha King persona was merely a facade. On the other hand, some staunchly defended him, believing it was an orchestrated attack to bring down a figure who dared to speak truths the majority avoided. These opposing reactions turned the story from an individual matter into a fierce clash of perspectives within the community. Amid the growing uproar, Andrew Tate didn't choose to admit or apologize. Instead, he spun another narrative, claiming he was the target of a smear campaign. According to him, those exposing the truth were simply jealous of a successful man and were doing everything to bring him down. Rather than confronting the evidence directly, Tate skillfully deflected by constantly redirecting public attention. When the story of his fabricated achievements surfaced, he appeared in new videos, flaunting supercars, luxurious homes, or dropping controversial statements. This noise caused many to temporarily forget the root of the scandal, once again focusing on the dramatic persona. In particular, Tate mastered the art of reshaping his own story. From claiming to be a great kickboxing champion, he began portraying himself as a survivor in a world full of conspiracies. This shift allowed him to maintain his alpha image in the eyes of loyal fans, albeit in a different form. No longer a champion, but an unyielding warrior against forces trying to silence him. But was this truly the survival instinct of a man adept at turning the tide, or merely a desperate attempt to cling to a fading spotlight? Unlike before, when scandals were quickly overshadowed by new theatrics, this time the audience...
I was in England, I got tired of England, I had to decide to move somewhere, and I'd fought in Romania a few times. And I decided to go to... In fact, I'll tell you this whole story.
When Tate moved to Romania, he spun a captivating tale. A courageous man abandoning the corrupt West to seek freedom in a new land. It was a bold declaration that easily resonated with young people questioning traditional values and yearning for a different path. But guess what? Did he move to Romania for adventure or simply to evade the police? The answer isn't hard to deduce. Behind the facade was a far less noble purpose. Old clips reveal the real reason wasn't about justice, but about dodging allegations tied to the Me Too movement while taking advantage of a system where corruption could serve as an escape from personal troubles. Crafting a fabricated motive not only helped him conceal the truth, but also turned a weakness into a strength, maintaining his moral alpha image in the eyes of his fans. On a deeper level, Tate tapped into his audience's anxieties about the collapse of Western values and the spread of woke culture, positioning himself as a defender of tradition. This stance both reinforced his...
Why? Because Tate is still under house arrest on suspicion of human trafficking. So he got out of jail a number of weeks ago and will remain under house arrest until we'll go to trial. So there were a lot of interesting things to take out of this interview, notably how much Tate has tailored his misogyny.
However, this approach gradually tested the public's patience. Each fabricated story, each lie or ploy, instead of merely polishing his image, became a test of his fans' trust. The focus on fear and the idolization of a superhero image increasingly exposed its limits. The audience's faith isn't infinite, and contradictions would soon lead to doubt, disappointment, and even abandonment. If you thought the stories about his childhood or choice of residence were just theatrics, think again. They are merely the tip of the iceberg. Romania wasn't just a safe playground for Tate. It was where he tested his strategy for building a persona, controlling the narrative, and most importantly, turning all that attention into profit. From these seemingly trivial details, a pattern emerges. Every lie, every embellished detail wasn't just to polish his image, but to serve a core purpose. Building a business model based on manipulation and exploiting trust. Tate wasn't just selling courses. He was selling a lifestyle, an identity. He knew many young fans were searching for a father or brother to guide them. And by donning the image of an unequivocally successful man, he made them believe he held everything they craved: wealth, power, confidence. This gave rise to Hustlers University. Marketed as the key to wealth, it was in reality a sophisticated multi-level marketing scheme. Fans paid $50 a month to join, and the numbers multiplied exponentially.
I lost nearly $600 in a year and got nothing in return except a few clips I could have found for free on YouTube. We didn't learn how to make money, we only learned how to pull more people into this cycle.
The most painful thing isn't the lost money, but realizing my trust was exploited.
Hundreds of thousands of people paid only to receive lessons on recruiting more students. Many admitted they gained nothing but lost trust, time, and hard-earned money. As the exaggerated figures reached tens of millions of dollars, personal disappointment turned into a collective wave of anger. The online community erupted. Videos exposing the truth about Hustlers University spread like wildfire. The public began to ask if even the course touted as the pinnacle of wealth-building wisdom was an empty shell. What else about Tate was real? But Tate didn't stop there. He knew how to exploit public emotions. Rumors of late-stage lung cancer surfaced, sparking waves of sympathy, only for him to miraculously recover. For many fans, this was seen as a miracle, further solidifying his image as an invincible man. When faced with accusations, instead of proving his innocence, Tate chose to counterattack, suing the women who accused him. This wasn't just a legal move, but a calculated tactic to intimidate others into silence. When pieced together, these elements were no longer harmless boasts. They formed a system where trust was turned into profit. Fans became tools, and attention became a commodity. But this system began to backfire. Hundreds of thousands who had paid for Hustlers University realized they were cogs in an endless cycle. Disappointment turned into anger, and anger turned into rebellion. And all these events could not forever remain beyond the reach of the law. As attention shifted from social media to reality, the lies and the strategy of turning fans into tools began to hit their limits. In late 2022, news of Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan's arrest spread across the globe like a media bombshell. Images and videos showing one of the most powerful figures on social media being escorted in handcuffs sent shockwaves worldwide. On Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, millions followed and shared every frame in real time. Within hours, hashtags related to Tate skyrocketed to the top trends in dozens of countries. For those who once saw him as the epitome of success, the sight was like a wake-up slap. For his detractors, it was vivid proof that no one can remain above the law forever. The familiar image of Tate sitting in a supercar dressed in a suit, lecturing about power and wealth was suddenly replaced by a stark contrast, a man bowing his head amidst a cordon of police. This was a turning point not only in Tate's life, but also in how the world perceived this social media phenomenon. News of the arrest quickly sparked a powerful wave of reactions. Many who had opposed Tate saw it as a symbolic turning point, as if balance was being restored after years of controversy. On social media platforms, old videos of Tate were reshared, now juxtaposed with images of him in handcuffs. For them, this moment wasn't just about an individual facing legal consequences, but proof that media influence or an online persona couldn't remain beyond the law's reach. Hundreds of thousands of hustlers, university students, millions of video views, and online praise are not proof of righteousness or morality. Just because someone appears wealthy, powerful, or famous doesn't mean they are a role model or example to follow. The internet can turn a lie into a felt truth, but the law, evidence, and objective logic remain the ultimate measure. Moreover, this story prompts a deeper reflection for viewers. The ability to distinguish between a persona and the real person is a crucial skill in the digital age. When faced with a polished figure online, asking questions, seeking evidence, and evaluating information from multiple sources is essential. Only by doing so can we avoid becoming victims of sophisticated deception. Andrew Tate is neither a superhero nor a victim of the Matrix. He is merely a paper champion, someone who crafted his own world with lies only to be consumed by it. On paper, he had championship belts, supercars,